Hello, welcome to Counterpoint. For the uninitiated, this man right here is Steve Shives. Steve is a bit of a strange fellow, one I will probably disagree with far more than I could ever possibly come to agree with. He's a strange character on YouTube, truthfully, and in the social justice sphere at large. He seems like a bright enough guy, and has a certain charismatic charm. I mean, I don't like what he has to say, but yet I still find myself enjoying listening to him. So then why am I going to pick on him? Because he has such an authoritarian, holier-than-thou view that I just can't help but feel like he could use a good counterpoint. That's a terrible joke. Well, take it away, Steve. I'm sure you can't do any worse than me.
The weirdest thing has been happening this week. People who previously were big supporters of Donald Trump, people who almost certainly voted for him themselves and who definitely told other people to vote for him, are starting to turn against him.
Why do you look so thrilled? Like, this is a whole new level of schadenfreude. I would also love an explanation on something. How rigid do you think the average person is in their thinking? Do you really find it so strange that people who supported a certain idea, belief set, even a personality, might change their mind at some point? Do you think we're born fully cognizant of the world around us and our patterns and behaviors are set in stone? You'd be wrong on that last one at the very least. The mind is remarkably plastic if you give it the right stimuli. It's normal and even healthy to contemplate your core ideas, to reconsider your positions on certain subjects when new evidence comes to light. Arbitrarily sticking to your guns in the face of reality laughing at you is not a sign of a healthy mind. It's a sign of partisanship. Partisanship isn't something we should be thinking of as a good thing. It's good to be bipartisan. It's good to be able to call out bullshit even when you agree with someone under normal circumstances. Dialogue is important and is more nuanced than I am 100% behind X. That kind of blind following is just unfucking healthy, dude.
Why? Because he's starting to threaten their own personal interests. Well, isn't that just terrible?
Okay, so I can understand the sentiment that selfishness is bad, but I feel the need to point out that self-interest is the driving force behind every action you undertake. Very rarely do we push back against that default. When we do, typically it's for very, very good reason. To decry people for being against something that goes against their self-interest, in my eyes, carries the same logical consistency as getting upset at a baby for crying. It's what babies do. It's what humans do. We look out for ourselves and the things that matter most to us. This really shouldn't need to be said, but I feel I would be remiss if I did not counter that particular point, no matter how pedantic it may be.
The first such case that got a lot of public attention was that of Caitlyn Jenner, who was a Trump supporter during the campaign and up until a few days ago, as far as anyone knew. But then, when Trump's administration announced that it was going to be rolling back Obama-era protections for trans folks, all of a sudden Caitlyn Jenner came out and said, "This is just a terrible disappointment. I don't believe that Donald Trump would do this. He promised me that he would be a supporter for transgender rights and equality. This is just a terrible disappointment. Hey, President Trump, call me. Tell me what's going on."
So I just had to stop the frame here and take a screen cap because this face right here, that is a smug, self-satisfying face of someone enjoying the suffering of someone else. Which, I mean, fair enough. I'm a sadist myself. I certainly enjoy the suffering of someone else, depending on the circumstances, of course. But the thing is, I'm not a hypocrite. You, Mr. Shives, well, call me crazy, but you certainly appear to be. You regularly advocate for trans rights, and you regularly throw transphobic at people as an insult, or as an attempt to demean their character. You also espouse collectivist ideas, which is to say that you seem to feel they all fall under the same banner. So why is it then that you are delighting so much in Caitlin's concerns regarding the trans situation? Say what you will about her, but at the end of the day, she is certainly a trans individual. I guess it's like Milo, and she's just not really trans because she's guilty of wrongthink. Although in the case of Milo, he's not really gay because he's a conservative. Oh.
I can't believe this. I was just so sure that Donald Trump was going to be a fearless, tireless champion of the rights of trans people. I don't understand this. Is this the same Donald Trump? Are you sure it's the same Donald Trump we're talking about?
You really seem to be just deriving sexual pleasure from whatever straw man it is you've created. As far as I know, Trump has never actually come out during the election and said anything particularly derogatory about trans people. He's also trying to push for state rights as opposed to federally mandated, which, if memory serves, is what the Founding Fathers had in mind for your nation. That the federal level should only govern matters that are important to the country as a whole. Big, important things. Whereas trans issues are such a small percentage of the population, I feel like that on a state level is probably the best approach, because a one-size-fits-all approach from the federal level seems like it's just going to cause a lot of issues.
How fucking willfully oblivious do you have to be?
I'm sorry, but my irony detector just blew up in my fucking face hearing you ask someone how willfully oblivious they can be. Now this is another one right after he strawmanned Caitlyn Jenner. Look how self-satisfied he looks. He is proud of that strawman that he built of her. Like, I can't.
Donald Trump we're talking about. How fucking willfully oblivious do you have to be surprised by this? And how selfish do you have to have that be the last straw? That's the bit where you finally say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't support this Trump thing anymore. If he's going to start threatening people like me, well, then I just can't support that.
Okay, so I know I keep making this point, but at the end of every fucking argument you've made, every strawman, everything so far, we're only a few minutes in. At the end of every single one, same fucking smug, self-satisfied expression. You are taking so much pleasure in this person's suffering, in this person's difference of opinion, and it blows my mind. You have the audacity to tell me that, or to try and insinuate, I should say, that Caitlyn Jenner does not empathize with other people, and the only reason she finds it an issue is because now it's personally affecting her. And you make it sound like it's some horrible thing, like, we should always be mindful of the collective. We should never focus on ourselves. How horrible of a person do you have to be to ever put yourself first? Like, just how terrible. And you are taking such a sadistic pleasure in it. I can't focus on anything else except that fucking smug expression. I've got like 5 of them so far. I have a selection to choose from. And they're not even cherry-picked. They're all at the very end of the point that you are trying to make. Every single fucking time you feel like you have succeeded, you give yourself a gold star. That fucking smile of yours is disgustingly sadistic. How can you purport to be a good person? How do you wrap your mind around that? You're taking such immense pleasure in someone else's fears, someone else's concern, someone else changing their fucking mind, and you're just rubbing their face in shit. With that shit-eating fucking grin, no less. What the fuck?
There was another instance that happened just recently from a fellow YouTuber of mine, unfortunately. A professional shithead, a professional cyberbully, someone who is a racist and a misogynist and a rape apologist and just generally a huge, gigantic, intolerant, obnoxious piece of shit.
There really is an irony in you deriding someone for their their wrong think, but calling them intolerant. Like, you had to count on your hand the number of pejoratives you were using on them to make sure you had to hit the right amount and you covered all your bases. But they're the intolerant one. For all I know, they might actually be intolerant. I can't defend them. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. But, yeah, you've got some big balls there to be throwing around the word intolerance so loosely.
And he has made repeated statements that have been dismissive or derogatory toward black folks. He has a whole history of racism. He has a whole history of sexism and misogyny. He has a whole history of rape apologetics. He has an entire public history going back 40 years of being a huge fucking intolerant, ignorant, self-aggrandizing asshole.
Now, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt that you have some kind of a source on these wild claims and accusations you're making. I know that we collectively seem to agree that they're just true. We can't point to any particular examples of it, but they're true. Now, I have no doubt that he has done some scumfucky things. You don't get to that position in power without doing something to get there. Okay, the people with real ambition, real drive, who want to make something of themselves that big, yeah, they're not gonna have clean hands, okay? So I don't doubt that there are some objectionable things that have happened, but if you're going to present an assertion without evidence, it will be dismissed as such. All you're doing is spouting your opinion and trying to pass it off as fact, which is the whole fucking point behind this fake news crisis that's going on in the States and everywhere else. We're passing off opinions as fact now.
None of that was enough to turn these anti-SJW YouTube shitheads against Trump. They were all for him up until the point when this week his administration said they were going to start cracking down on recreational marijuana use. Uh-oh, he's fucking with my buzz. Fuck Trump. If he's going to start fucking with my buzz, well then to hell with Trump. Let's throw Molotov cocktails. Let's riot in the streets. If he's going to fuck with my buzz, then I'm sorry. I'm off. I can't support Trump after that. The moment that he starts to threaten to inconvenience them.
You are being incredibly disingenuous here, as well as smug beyond all reason. I know I keep saying it, but I know you're done an argument and you think you've scored some points because you have that self-satisfied smile. You know, you're just, woo! I won! You know, it's just, holy fuck, man. I'm trying to give you a fair shake. I am trying to be polite. I am trying to be nice. You are making it impossibly difficult to do. Now, disregarding recreational use, one of the founding tenets of the United States was state-level enforcement of certain laws. You know, every state was able to be governed in whatever manner it wanted. So, if you didn't like state X, you could go to state Y or state Z. You know, you had the freedom to change based on that if the state that you were living in didn't feel accurate. That's why you can have such diversity as California being the hippiest fucking hippie that ever hippied, and Texas, where it's known as the red state. You know, but disregarding all of that, there's a form of doublethink going on with the marijuana thing. It's classified as Schedule 1, meaning no medicinal value whatsoever. But yet, there's a classification on state level of medical-grade marijuana. Now, I object on it on that basis alone. Either it should be fully legalized or it should be fully prohibited. Personally, I think it should be fully legalized because, quite frankly, the studies have shown that there are far too many benefits for it to be just dismissed out of hand. You know, the propaganda needs to stop. That shit needs to fuck right off. But you, the self-smug satisfaction, like, you just immediately, right on, boom! It's because their self-interest is at stake that they're pissed off. You know, it's got nothing to do with the benefits of recreational marijuana to certain states. It has nothing to do with the medical advancements. Nothing to do with those people who have very bad, what's it called? It's not schizophrenia, it's the epilepsy. The people who have super bad epilepsy, who gain benefit from CBD oil or from medicinal use. The people with mental illness who are actually able to live normal lives now, thanks to access to medical cannabis and recreational. You know, all the advancements that come from that. No, it has fuck all to do with that. It's purely because we like to get high, and he's trying to take that away from us. Fuck right off, you disingenuous cunt.
All of a sudden, it's, oh, this is intolerable, this is tyranny, we have to fight this. When he's fucking other people, oh, hey, he's just triggering snowflakes. He's just triggering these precious little snowflakes by threatening to revoke their health care or their ability to live and exist freely in public spaces.
One of these things is not like the other. Having your health care revoked, pretty fucking big deal. Like, people genuinely do need that service. I honestly think the implementation of it originally was just absolutely insane. The size and scope and the speed with which it was implemented, just, it was a shit show. Okay, it needed to be fixed. Should it have been dismantled completely? It's up for someone else to debate. I honestly couldn't say. I'm in Canada. Our socialized healthcare is cool, but has certain failures to it as well. It's not a perfect system. And what the fuck do you mean living as a free being? There is no fucking death squad or anything like that stopping people from living free in public spaces. Okay, unless you're being an obnoxious cunt about how your existence is being done, no one is stopping you from existing as a free person.
Or their basic fundamental civil rights, right?
What civil rights are being infringed upon?
He's doing that to people other than us. Well, he's just triggering snowflakes. These SJWs, they're so thin-skinned, they're so weak.
So you're not going to tell us what rights are being infringed upon. Cool. Good to know.
Fuck you. That is my message to all of these people, these Johnny-come-latelys, who are all of a sudden realizing that maybe Trump isn't such a great guy, and maybe Trump should be protested and resisted because now he's starting to threaten their shit. Fuck you forever. Go to hell.
Well, fuck you too. But you're kind of being a dick here. Like, are we just going to disregard Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Like, it's all fine and dandy that you have physiological... You're satiated, you know. You've got enough sex, got enough food. Cool. You feel safe. You feel love and belonging. You've got some self-esteem, so you're able to self-actualize, and your form of self-actualization is in trying to champion the rights of people that you feel are being undermined or overlooked. More power to you. Right up until you start being a sanctimonious cunt to everybody who has not achieved that level or who disagrees with you. Disagreeing with someone doesn't make them a bad person. Okay? Having a differing political opinion doesn't make you a terrible person either. It's up to you as an individual to determine your own worth. And the way you're broad brushing everybody under the same fucking banner, it's indefensible. Like, are we all supposed to just drop everything and do everything that we can for people that we don't know? People that may not even appreciate it? Are we supposed to just dehumanize them and assume that they all need our help because we're some magical entity? What do you want? Is this just more empty virtue signaling? Is it little more than you trying to say, oh, well, you guys aren't good enough. Look what I do. Look at how I think. Look at how great I am. Fucking hell.
You are completely indifferent to the suffering and the marginalization and the mistreatment and the denigration of your fellow Americans when it was on the basis of their gender identity or their sexuality or their race or their country of origin or their religion. As long as it wasn't a group that you were a part of or that you identified with, you were fine with it. In fact, you probably joined in. You probably were a cheerleader and a ringleader and an instigator of this sort of thing. And you would lead abuse against other people who stood against Trump for that stuff.
You know, at this point, I'm starting to feel bad because I feel like I'm picking on the slow kid in school. That's not to try and disparage you on that basis or anything, but, like, you've created a monster inside your own head. You have created a creature made of straw, and you are just throwing all of your punches at this thing. But instead of it being just a figment of your imagination, you are painting everybody who disagrees with you under this banner. You seem to be the type of person who thinks that everybody who disagrees with you is literally a Nazi. Like, I'm trying really hard to be fair and balanced with you, and I know this video is dragging on. We're at the 20 fucking minute mark now. I am trying to cut down any of the unnecessary parts, cut out any of the unneeded ones to try and keep context relevant, because I feel like that's the fairest way to present the information. But at the same time, I feel like I'm painting you in a bad light. I mean, I'm going to link to the video, obviously, so that everybody can make their own opinion themselves. But you make it so easy to point out, just, you're a terrible person. There's no other fucking way to look at it. You are creating a straw man, and anybody who disagrees with you, anybody who stands against you, fits in that straw man, and you are rationalizing ways of lashing out against them. You are rationalizing away any humanity that they might have. And then you have the audacity to disparage them for what you perceive as them seeing their fellow man as less than human. What are you doing right now? The hypocrisy is ridiculous. What the fuck?
So many people who are in this boat now, so many people who are in this group who were so pro-Trump during the election and for the first few weeks of his administration, and now they're starting to come around. These are the same assholes who like to call themselves rational. We're the rationals. We're the skeptics, right? We're the ones who are smart. We don't care about feelings. We only care about facts and logic and rational arguments, right? I submit that you deserve to have your rational card revoked when every fucking position you voice is from the perspective of the universe revolves around me.
I mean, you can have your opinion and everything, but so far your entire diatribe has been against an imagined evil and a bunch of straw men that you're just knocking up and burning on fire. I don't really see where you think you have the high ground.
Because the universe revolves around me is not a rational statement. Whether you say it explicitly or you imply it through the things you choose to talk about, the things you choose to say, and the things you choose not to say.
See, this mentality is why I am opposed to social justice. You have to make your position explicitly clear on every single fucking thing, or you're implying things through either your silence, or the things you're not talking about, or the things you might be completely fucking ignorant about. You have to be explicit. You have to state your opinion on every last little thing. Like, if you are not on the record as being against pedophilia, then that means you're for pedophilia because I said so. That is the kind of mentality that you are applying here, and it is ridiculous.
The things you get all up in arms over, and the things you're happy to ignore or to belittle people and mock people over. Oh, what's that? He's going to crack down on pot enforcement? Fuck him. No, man, fuck you. Fuck every last goddamn one of you, you selfish, self-centered, narcissistic, hypocritical pieces of shit. Go to hell. If you didn't care when Trump was fucking other people, but now all of a sudden you're pissed at him because you think he's about to fuck you, how about you save him the trouble and go fuck yourself?
I feel like the last bit really rather well sums up Steve's overall demeanor. He seems to believe very strongly in a collective. There's no division of who you are and what you think. Your personality is not defined by your thoughts, actions, opinions, observations, etc., but rather by your sexual identity, your race, your religion, your color, your creed. Most things that you can't actually choose. I mean, you can choose a religion, obviously. You can choose a creed, but you can't really choose a race. You can't really choose your nationality. He focuses on those. He's the type who says person of color, which is a ridiculous fucking term. You know, the difference between someone who's black and someone who's Asian and the challenges they may face as a result of that are worlds apart. But they both fall under the person of color banner, and we're supposed to champion these people. This is why I'm fervently opposed to collectivism. Because you can't have nuance. There is no such thing as nuance with the collective. You know, it's all or nothing. And that's the way he's presenting it. I mean, yeah, some people have definitely been fucked by Trump gaining power. That's an undeniable fact. Now, the thing is, he presents it as though it's an inherent negative, not realizing the hypocrisy in that. Because he's perfectly fine and dandy to watch the people who oppose him suffer. But the people he supports, oh, you go near them, hell to pay. And you can see the example here. So, I don't know what more to say. That was Steve Shives. I hope I never have to deal with him again, because quite frankly, I feel like it's such low-hanging fruit, it's not even worth looking at. But, you know, then what does that say about my character, that I'm willfully ignoring something like that? Anyway, that was Steve Shives, everybody. And I'm debating just timestamping his video with every single facial expression he makes of smug self-satisfaction when he thinks he's made a proper point and he gets a gold star. If you're interested in that, let me know and I'll whip something up real quick. Anyway, I'm JP, this was Counterpoint, hope you enjoyed.